Question 37. This one scares me. There's just so much going on here. There's tons of labs. It's so big, I had to take 2 screenshots to put it all on one screen. So which of the following is the most likely diagnosis? DKA, nephrolithiasis, G6PD, rhabdo. It's all over the place, really. So I honestly really don't know what this one's about, just reading that alone. Ton of labs. Try not to get intimidated by the labs. Oftentimes, when they give you this much information, you don't need the majority of it. A 30-year-old man found by his roommate on the floor, confused and diaphoretic. The patient has no known medical history and does not take any meds. He denies chest pain, shortness of breath, or recent illness. Physical exam, he is diffusely tender, that's interesting, to palpation and disoriented. There is dried blood around the patient's mouth. Temperature is elevated. Blood pressure is fine. Heart rate, he's tachy. Respirators are okay-ish. SpO2 is fine. And then just a ton of labs. So again, the labs can throw you off. Try to break it up. So start with this. All right, this is one section, and then the labs are another section. So what did you get out of the text here? We got a patient who is diffusely tender. He's confused and disoriented. He's got blood around his mouth, and he's a little febrile. Oh, and he was found on the floor, so possible loss of consciousness right here. Loss of consciousness with being confused after the fact. Sounds like a post-ictal state. So this might be a seizure. And if it was a seizure, it's possible that he bit his tongue, and that's why he's got dried blood around his mouth. Diffusely tender, because if the seizure goes on too long, the muscles can start to die. So maybe that's what's happening here. And the fever would also make sense with a seizure, because seizing is basically a stronger version of shivering. So now we're going to go into the labs and ask ourselves, does anything here match up with our thoughts? Loss of consciousness, probably a seizure. If we're considering seizure activity with diffuse tenderness everywhere, rhabdomyolysis should be high on your list, and that's one of our answer choices. However, when we're going to confirm this in our labs here, try to think of a few things. So if we're thinking seizure activity, possible rhabdo, we want to be looking for a few things right away. Creatine kinase may be spilling out of dying muscle cells. Potassium is primarily an intracellular electrolyte, so we might also see a lot of that if muscle cells are dying. And then our UA findings are very unique. We'll get there in a moment. So first thing right off the bat, we see our potassium is elevated. They do not give us creatine kinase. There's no CK. Maybe that would have been a little too obvious. But potassium is a very subtle hint. It should be intracellular. When it's high, there's something wrong. If not everything is high and it's just potassium, then you're not necessarily looking at like a hemoconcentration, like from dehydration. It's probably specifically potassium. Something is lysing and spilling out its intracellular contents. Otherwise, if you had hemoconcentration from a dehydration, then you might also see sodium is elevated, but it's not here. So let's take a look then at our UA. Really interesting findings here. If you look at the blood, there is a large amount of blood, but there are no red blood cells. This is pathognomonic, and I need you to memorize this, or at least make sense of it a little bit, and hopefully it sticks. So blood typically refers to hemoglobin. Our red blood cells, though, are absent. So how could you have hemoglobin without any red blood cells? Well, maybe the question you should be asking is, can blood mean something else? In this case, yes. It either means hemoglobin or myoglobin. And myoglobin is basically the hemoglobin version that we keep in our muscle cells. So when our muscle cells die, all right, let's come over to this picture here. So this is our muscle spindle, muscle cell. We've got our myoglobin, we've got our creatine kinase, and our potassium. If this cell dies, all of these contents are going to spill out into the extracellular space, and that's why they'll be elevated. We don't look for myoglobin in our labs, but we can see it on a UA like this with elevated blood, but no red blood cells. Please put that on Anki. Never forget it. You will get many questions right because of it. So the correct answer is this patient had a seizure and they went into rhabdomyolysis, which explains why they're diffusely tender everywhere. The correct answer is D.